When you think about it, it must be part of modern civilization's DNA to make spaces for people somewhere outside of work or home where they drink beverages and talk with friends and strangers alike. Maybe they throw darts, maybe they play a board game, or maybe they dance and sing too. These are the places which scholars point to as fertile ground for democracy to spring from, with their inherently egalitarian atmospheres and open debates. Why else would King Charles II have tried to suppress England's coffeehouses in 1675? Today, the third place, as sociologist Ray Oldenburg coined it, may have taken a bit of a hit in the COVID-19 pandemic and from our social media habit dampening our real-life social spirit. But thankfully, its relevance and cultural influence remains in the community, found in cafes, libraries, bars, barbershops, and salons worldwide. Add to that list the music festival, as our guest Jett will help us understand in our conversation here. I spoke with Chris Jones and John Payne of the Boulder Creek, California six-piece band when they traveled across the country to make their second appearance at the Albino Skunk Music Festival in early October 2025. There, they played a new song from their forthcoming album, which is all about cross-country travel, titled Straight Back to You, the studio version of which you're hearing now. Jett was one of many bands and artists I spoke with that beautiful fall Friday in upstate South Carolina, and all of our conversations had in common a focus on music festivals and touring, as well as what each of them was doing musically now and in the near future. Stay tuned for future episodes with interviews from the likes of the Ruin Brothers, Liam Purcell, Joel Timmons and Shelby Means, and more, including artists from the next festival I attended, the Milltown Get Down in the Piedmont of North Carolina. I'm Joe Kendrick, welcoming you to our focus on live performances, festival life, the unique nature of the Albino Skunk Music Festival, and music from the band Jett on this episode of Southern Songs and Stories.
Just sitting at home watching the TV. Well, when I get to Memphis, gotta stop for barbecue. 'Cause no one else do barbecue quite the way that Memphis do. I don't want no trouble, I ain't looking for a fight. But I love to run them dirty streets from the morning through the night. And I'll be driving through Colorado till I hit the Mississippi, sliding down the Natchez Trace all the way to Baton Rouge. Rambling through Alabama, keep on trucking through Atlanta till I see old Tennessee, and then straight back home to you. Ooh, till I see old Tennessee, and then I'm straight back home to you.
Southern Songs and Stories is a podcast series with over 150 episodes, profiling artists ranging from Americana to blues and bluegrass, and from rock to rap. From history to hits, and from culture to creativity, you'll find a wide array of subjects, substance, and standpoints. And always, the music that binds it together. You can follow Southern Songs and Stories wherever you find podcasts, with more articles, photos, and videos at southernsongsandstories.com. And you can engage with us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Substack, and on YouTube at Joe Kendrick NC. You may have not yet heard of Jett, but in addition to having a great name for a band, they have what it takes to make new fans wherever they go. Aside from the music itself, which they describe as cosmic mountain music, with its slinky grooves and deep-fried jams, they have been through more than their fair share of hardships and keep getting back in the studio and on the road. After playing together since they were 12, Chris Jones and John Payne formed Wolf Jett in late 2019, just in time for the COVID-19 pandemic, which of course scuttled all their shows. They built an analog studio they called House on a Hill in their home base of Boulder Creek, California, but it was burned to the ground by the CZU lightning fires in August 2020. Undaunted, they made lemonade out of lemons with the media attention for their story and recorded an emotional live video amongst the rubble with the band The T Sisters to help their community heal. That song, Garden of Pain, remains a local favorite. Even though Hurricane Helene was nowhere near the Santa Cruz Mountains that they call home, its impact in the Carolinas meant that the band's 2024 fall tour in the region was canceled, but they rallied once again and made it back to the Albino Skunk Farm for their first appearance since the spring of 2023. They moved up in the festival lineup as well, gaining a font size following the success of their 2024 album, Time Will Finally Come. The aforementioned band T Sisters were the catalyst for Wolf Jett to make it onto the Skunk Fest bill in the first place, after drummer John Payne played with them at the festival back in 2017. He fell in love with the atmosphere and culture of the one-stage event and made it a goal for Wolf Jett to return. Our conversation begins here with John and Chris answering my question about the first festival they attended. Frontman Chris Jones, who grew up in East Tennessee, begins, followed by drummer John Payne.
I went to Merlefest with my father and my mother, and I think I was about 5 years old or something like that. I saw Doc Watson, John Hartford, Chet Atkins. I think Ernest Tubb was there at the time, and I remember it. I remember seeing those people, and that's why I'm so glad to be back in this part of the country, because there's something really magical about folk music in this area of the world, and it's considered some of the best music in the world is coming from these South Carolina, now North Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia. I mean, just incredible amount of music here, and Florida as well. Can't forget Florida.
First festival, was that the? Yeah, I'm having a hard time remembering mine. I was gonna. That's exactly what came to my mind, and wasn't as neat as Chris's maybe, but for me, like, my parents didn't take me to music festivals so much, so I went on my own when I was a teenager, and we went to this Horde festival. It was like Black Crowes, Taj Mahal, Joan Osborne, Mother Hips, which is our local California band. Wilco was on that, so that was kind of my first festival, I would say, but it wasn't quite the same thing I think of as festival experience these days. But.
Yeah. I'd like to talk a little bit about Albino Skunk itself and what makes it stand out to you. What can you comment about the culture, about the people here?
Yeah, we play California festivals primarily and West Coast, and it's a different feel. There's a situation here where everything is down home. It's very laid back. The food of the South is it's a cultural communication, as opposed to other cultures that I'm in. The way people cook and prepare food here is done with such love, and I grew up with that, so it translates perfectly to music, because then you just feel relaxed, you feel good. So it's very down home, it's very laid back, but I have to say Glenn runs a really tight ship. All the volunteers here are fully engaged. Everybody believes in this in their whole heart, and I think that's because in Greer, you're not close to a big market like, say, Nashville, or Charlotte is probably your closest, or Atlanta. So people out here really understand the value of the music that Glenn has brought here. And so your volunteers are fully invested. They've been doing this for years. A lot of people live here on the property. So there's just, there's kind of a professionalism, an understated professionalism, but then you have this total down-to-earth feeling that immediately the musicians you see, it's just all the tough armor just falls off our bodies, and everybody, and it's great to see somebody first time here. Our singer, it's her first time here, Allison, and she had never been to South Carolina, so just to take her to her first Waffle House, and just to see the kind of reaction of somebody who's never experienced that kind of just welcoming Southern, hospitality that we're famous for. So that's what I like about it.
Well, you kind of said it all. Agreed on all points, and I would say if anyone's stressed here, they certainly don't look it. and I'll just say it. This being my third time being here, I'm just every time I get to come back here, I'm just super excited. It's a highlight for me of musical accomplishments, just to be able to come such a long way and be around just like awesome down home people and just get to hang here.
That's another new song from the band Jett, the live version of Nothin But Trouble, performed live at Albino Skunk Music Festival on October 3rd, 2025. My first festival experience was closer to John Payne's than to Chris Jones's, and goes back to an era when festivals were a rarity in the live music industry, the first Lollapalooza in 1991 when it came to Raleigh, North Carolina. Since then, festivals like Merlefest have solidified themselves as cornerstones of the roots music touring circuit, and festivals like Bonnaroo and Coachella have become benchmarks for success for artists from a cornucopia of other popular genres. There are lots of reasons why festivals evolved to become as dominant as they are today, and foremost in my mind is the changing economic landscape of the live music industry over the past several decades especially. With rising ticket prices for concerts, raise your hand if you remember when the Rolling Stones first sold tickets for $100. Live music fans were increasingly ready to embrace the festival model, which remains a bargain compared to the a la carte model. Sure, you'll spend more on a festival pass than most anyone's show with a headliner and a support act or two, but you get a lot more for that money, and you get to enjoy and importantly discover many more artists that you might have otherwise ignored had they only played a smaller venue in your market. Festivals are also a boon to artists. They can often get a much better payday from a festival gig than that concert hall or club date. And since many attendees are new to their music, they can pick up a lot of new fans as well. With all of their upside, festivals also have their drawbacks. Shorter sets to make room for all the artists on the bill mean that you get more of an appetizer than a full entree of any given favorite artist. Large festivals with multiple stages create the dilemma of having to choose between one band or another quite often, unless both play multiple sets over the course of the event. And playing multiple sets at a festival is more and more common, but again, that goes back largely to economics, as festivals look to save money in a business with incredibly thin profit margins. Over the years, I've heard many artists bemoan having to work more and more during the course of a festival to make the same money as they did previously. Here's something that I realized about festivals from my conversation with the band Jett. They're also a good example of the third place that I mentioned earlier. That realization came after asking about how festivals factor into their overall touring income and strategy for how they book their gigs. Here is Chris Jones.
Well, we built Jett on the pretense of this is going to be a festival band because we understood California has such a great summer that lasts forever. It's still going on right now. So you can work from May until October just doing nothing but festivals. They're a huge part of our income and our ability to reach people. It's a lot of people who've never heard you before, especially when you're starting out in the festival circuit. You people are it's like refreshing to have new people come in. And we used to be young at one point, and all our friends would come to the shows and pay for $5 for a ticket. But the way that the music scene is now, a lot of the venues are owned by larger companies. Like Live Nation is one that owns a lot of venues, just as an example. So you have a big corporate interest in these venues, and there's a lot of pressure to sell tickets, to pack the place out. It's hard to get a Friday night. The festivals, while they're competitive, once you have them, they just have kind of a way of introducing you to a whole new world where you don't have to do all of this, ham it up for all your friends. And, so it has a kind of, it's kind of the sweet spot for me as festivals. We built it, like I said, we built everything to do this. So.
And beyond it, like, reaching a whole new audience, it's just such a special opportunity to walk into these unique areas of the country. Like, you get out of the big city. A lot of the venues are in the bigger cities, right? And we pushed into festivals in the Sierras this summer. We did a lot of that in California, where we're in smaller communities, and they can really help you sort of line up your tours and stuff if you can choose to kind of hit a few of them up. And they really are. We call them anchor gigs because they kind of help us like get localized into a place and kind of solidify there. And then they help us, if we play a venue, come back somewhere here, Charlotte, hopefully people that saw us at this festival will come out to that.
I'll say one more thing, and also from the audience perspective, it's like a vacation for them. They're going out, having a good time, camping, whooping it up. They're not going back to their job until Monday, and we're only on Friday right now. So, for them, they're just in a really good place. Their hearts are open. They're around people they love. The sun is shining on your back. I mean, everybody's in a good mood. So that's really special.
And when someone like Glenn can curate, and when people learn to trust a festival, they don't really care who's playing on. Like, they don't go to it just because this person's playing or that person's playing. They go to it because they know the festival is going to be fun, and the guy and whoever, and the person who curated that, they trust in, and that's a really good festival.
Yeah. I saw you for the first time at Albino Skunk, and I think that was before I'd ever heard your record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for us to be able to come out to this area of the country without ever having played a show and have Glenn open his doors, and then WNCW being there and being a part of it, it gave us a foothold in a place that would have otherwise been really hard to get in. And a lot of our friends who are from California and Oregon say the same thing. Without Glenn, nobody would ever go out there. And one thing I'm really big on is the combination of West Coast and East Coast bands, because I've lived on both coasts and performed on both coasts. And I have to say, one thing we have is a myopic world where we only see our world. But when we integrate with people from other parts of the country, it really feels good. It's like, our cousins from our brothers from other mothers and sisters from other misters. And, it's just like a really cool thing to see other people doing it and to realize like, oh man, we got to get our act together. They're really killing it over there on the East, and so that really is hard to do. And Glenn is one of the few people I know who's successful in doing it. And it's not happening enough on the West Coast. I always say, bring East Coast bands out to the West Coast if you can.
I love the Little Feat quote here. That was Jett live at Albino Skunk in October 2025 with Feel the Way I Feel, which is on their 2024 collection, Time Will Finally Come. Continuing with my newfound insight into festivals as a third place, have you ever asked someone to be quiet or perhaps been shushed yourself while talking during a show? Core to the definition of the third place is its foundation of conversation, and live music events are ripe with conversations these days, to put it mildly. At a lot of venues and even outdoor events like festivals, it can be hard to concentrate on the performances because of the nonstop gabbing going on around you. It varies, but I bet you've experienced this too. I'm guilty of having been shushed and have also suffered through overly talkative neighbors in the audience at many events. In the end, I'm not sure you can really resolve this to suit everyone. Concerts are a social phenomenon, and people are going to party. At the same time, talking throughout large portions of a show means that you miss out on most everything special going on right in front of you, which is the real reason why you were there to begin with. Or at least it should have been the reason, to my thinking. I closed our interview by asking about the good and bad experiences Jett had on tour. Here is John Payne.
Chris probably has one from the last tour we came out here. He got a little sick, and it was not maybe you tell that one, Chris.
I don't know. I'm embarrassed because I don't like to admit, but being a musician, the only part of it that's hard is that if you don't feel good, you don't pick up the phone and say, I don't feel like coming to work today. So I got sick on this last tour we did in 2023 out here, and I got sick on the first show. Everybody's smoking in Knoxville, and everybody's smoking cigarettes, and I just woke up the next day and I just felt like death. And we had I think 10 more shows to go, and I just barely limped through that whole festival. That's the first time I've ever canceled a show. Was I canceled a show in Nashville, and it broke my heart to do that. But that's the lowest of the low when you're in this beautiful place and you came all the way out here to do something and you get sick on the damn plane and you're just like, oh man, like I still have to do this. I still have to wake up, put on my big boy pants and do it. And so that's a dark moment. That maybe tell a great moment, John.
I mean, I couldn't, to be honest, I couldn't think of a really bad moment. Like we have a nice group of folks in our band, and we, we're a family, so of course it's not always, sunshine, but it's a very understanding group of folks, and so we don't have a lot of bad moments on the road together. So Chris hit that one. So I don't know. Good moments, there's a million of those. Yeah. I mean, just being here, the weather outside here today in Albino Skunk is just it's like California weather. Everyone here keeps talking about it. They're just like, it's not always like this. It's like we got lucky. I mean, just having a beautiful sunny day where everyone's so relaxed is that's just enough of a highlight for me.
Another new song from Jett to close out this episode, the title track to their forthcoming third album, Letting Go, live from Albino Skunk in Greer, South Carolina. The band is scheduling that release for the spring of 2026. Speaking to you now as we enter the winter season, we're about as far away from festival season as one can get. But festivals are a year-round endeavor. Practically all the spring and early summer festivals next year are already booked, and are rolling out their artist lineups and stages as they promote their events. Usually that means a headliner or a first volley of artists and bands announced in fall and winter, followed by one or two more updates which fill in the rest of the blanks. There's a ton of work going on right now for festivals happening next fall and onwards to the following year. The teams that plan and staff these events never really have down periods. Even immediately after a festival ends, they go over what went right, what went wrong, and what could be improved for next time, and then fill the calendar with meeting dates when ticket prices go from early bird to full price, dates when they make marketing pushes, dates when they have to have new logos and merchandise, you name it. We'll focus a lot on festivals here on Southern Songs and Stories over the coming months, with a conversation from Time Sawyer frontman and Milltown Get Down Festival's Sam Taylor next. Also in our queue is a band that I got to sit with at Milltown Get Down in Elkin, North Carolina, which was one that I got to enjoy at both Albino Skunk Music Festival and the Earl Scruggs Music Festival beforehand, Western North Carolina's Holler Choir. You can follow this series on social media, at South Stories on Instagram, at Southern Songs and Stories on Facebook, and you can view these episodes and a lot more on my YouTube channel at the handle Joe Kendrick NC. We can also send you newsletters via Substack where you can read the scripts of these podcasts and get updates on what we're doing and planning in our quest to explore and celebrate the unfolding history and culture of music rooted in the American South and going beyond to the styles and artists that it inspired and informed. Thanks to Jacqueline Anthony for producing the radio adaptations of this series on Public Radio WNCW, and thanks to everyone who follows this series on their podcast platform of choice. Please take a moment and give us a top rating and where you can a review. It truly makes a great difference for improving the ranking and therefore the visibility of this series to all the other music fans on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, you name it. I'm your host and producer, Joe Kendrick, and this is Southern Songs and Stories, the music of the South and the artists who make it.